Hello Wednesday Wonders, it's Ranger Erin again, and today's wonder is going to be how are trails marked? But before we answer that question, we're going to just talk a little bit about why it might be important to mark a trail. So a lot of our trails are pretty easy to follow along here in the park. They're very clear what's trail and what's not trail, but sometimes it can be a little bit harder to tell maybe at nighttime when it's darker out. And then you might be going to some places in the future when you're a bigger kid and you're hiking further, and it may not be as easy to tell, so the trail will be narrower. It's not going to be as well pounded into the ground. It might be over a rocky landscape or through a desert. There may not be trees at all. So we're going to be talking about a few different ways that you can tell where the trail is and where the trail is not, and that way we can stay safe when we're out hiking. So in this video, we're going to talk about our trail maps that we have located at the fronts of all of our trails. We're going to talk about blazes, which are going to be marks on trees to let us know we're on the right path. And then we're also going to talk about rock cairns. So starting off, we're going to look at one of those maps. Starting off, I've picked out this Coppiced Woods Trail. So I chose this trail because I know that this one has 3 different entrances. So it'll say at the very top of it, Coppiced Woods Trail. So that's the name of our trail. I look at this symbol right here. It's got a little hiking person, so I know I can hike on it. If I had my bike, I would also know that I could bike on it. It's got how long that trail is, 1.87 miles. That's perfect for a nice sunny day like today. And then I go down here to the map and I see that it's a loop. So the whole thing is 1.87 miles and I'll end up right back where I started. And that's kind of important. If you had a trail that was 1 mile, but it only went to one direction, then I would know I would have to turn right back around and do another mile. So you also want to see what kind of trail you're looking at. Is it a loop? Is it a straight line? Or is it something different? Now on our trails, we also like to code them whether they're easy, medium, or more difficult. And this one says that it's a little bit more difficult. So that's going to tell me that maybe it's going to be a little bit more narrow. Maybe it's going to go up and down a little bit more. It's not going to be totally flat. And then the last thing that I want to notice is that the trail marker color is going to be yellow, and that's going to be our blazes. So when I'm walking along and I'm really not sure, maybe there's a trail that splits off. Maybe some folks have kind of made an extra little trail on there. I can always look for this yellow color. That's going to be our blaze color, and that's going to let me know that I'm still on the trail and I'm still going the right way. Been hiking along on this trail for a little bit, and we'll come to our next marking. Our trail blaze up here, and remember we said that the color for the trail that I'm hiking today is yellow, so I found another one. I know I'm still on the trail, but I'll talk a little bit about this code that's on here. So it says A17, that 17, that's the important part of this. And so some of our longer trails, like this Coppiced Woods Trail, we put that number in there, so if you were to get hurt and you needed to call for help, they wouldn't have to look through 2 miles of trail for you. You could say, I just passed that A17 marker, and then they could find you a little bit quicker. So a lot of our trails might have that number on that, but this right here is what we call that blaze. So you look for that spot of color. In this case, we nail ours, so we have these little plastic strips that we nail them to the tree. But in some places, they just paint it right on the tree. And in some other places, like the Appalachian Trail and sometimes on the Pacific Crest Trail, they're really long trails and they have lots of other trails that crisscross with them. So they're going to have a whole set of codes when it comes to these blazes. And I'll show you a few different styles of directions that you can get from those codes of blazes. We're going to go over our trail blaze code. So I've got up against a tree, 1 single rectangle, and if you were to see that 1 single rectangle, that just means keep going straight ahead. There's no confusion here. This is where the trail is. If you see 2 on top of each other, and that top one is a little bit more towards the left side, then that means that you're going to turn left. If the top one is a little bit more towards that right side, you're going to turn to the right. If there are 3 rectangles and they're kind of in a pyramid shape, that means that that's the start of the trail. And when you flip that upside down, that's the end of the trail. Today's activity is going to be making a trail inside your home, and you're going to do that with some post-it notes or just paper and tape and some type of writing utensil. And we're going to use that blazing code. You're going to set this up for a family member, and then they can do the same for you. Bonus points if there's a prize at the end. So my really simple one, 3 stacked up like a pyramid, that's the start. We're walking forward, I see the next one. 2 stacked on top of each other. The top one's a little bit more to the left, so we need to turn to the left. We'll go down this hallway, say hey to Randy. We're walking along, and then I see the last one all the way down here, and that says the end. Your next 2 activities you may want to combine together. So these are going to be done outside at a park. So if you come down to Floyd's Fork, to any one of our 4 parks or the Strand, you can pick any trail you want, and I want you to count as many trailblazes as you can see. So you want to look for, make sure you know what color your trailblaze is. So it might be yellow like the Coppiced Woods, it might be white, it might be purple, it might be blue, it depends on where you go. And I want you to count as many trailblazes as you can see. Now if you choose one of our trails that'll help you to get down to a gravel bar, that'll lead you to our last activity. So this is one to be done on a gravel bar, because you're going to make a rock cairn. So a rock cairn is going to be a pile of rocks, and that is a great trail marker for places where they don't have trees. So we use trailblazes here in the park because we've got lots of trees, so we can blaze on any one of those trees. But if you were to go someplace like the desert, or maybe up high on a mountain above the tree line, then you're going to have to figure out a different way to mark that trail because there's no trees. So one way we figured out how to do that is by rock pilings. So these rock cairns, rock pilings, are big stacked up high rocks, and they might blaze them, they might put paint on them, or the rock pile alone will let you know where the trail is. So after you have hiked down to a gravel bar, maybe you've chosen Boone's Bottoms, maybe the Sycamore Trail, maybe the Riparian Ramble, you're going to come down to a gravel bar off the trail, because we don't want to confuse anybody that that's a trail marker that they want to turn off of the trail. You're going to go down to the gravel bar, so a little bit off the trail, and you can use those stones to make a rock pile. So I made a really short one, but I want you to try and make the tallest one you possibly can. Keep stacking those rocks on there to get as high as you can. And then the last step, and this is going to be really important because again, we don't want to confuse anybody, after you're finished with your big old rock piling, hopefully it's as tall as you are going to knock it over. And I would love to see a picture of you standing next to your rock pile, your rock cairn. Go ahead and send that to me, and I will see you all next time.